Recording in progress.
Welcome, everybody. Sorry for the delay. Time is now 3:34, and I hereby call the February 6th, 2024 meeting of the St. Joseph County Area Planning Commission to order. This meeting is being held in person and virtually on the fourth floor of the council chambers of the County City Building. We will first ask for any public comment from those in the chamber, and then those from members in the public attending remotely. For public comment for those attending remotely, please use the raise hand function or message the host in the chat. Please clearly state your name and address for the record. We ask that board members state their name when making a motion and a second. Please silence your cell phones as well so they do not disturb the meeting. With that, let's have a roll call, please. Shelley?
Mr. Devon,
Present?
Mr. Hawley, Mr. Krasinski,
Present.
Ms. Hannon,
Present.
Mr. England,
Present.
Mr. Matzett,
Present.
Dr. Thacker, Mr. Tavernier.
Here. We are, thank you, Shelley. We are a 9-member commission. We currently have, what does that make us? 1, 2.
6 present.
6 present. 5 present, 1 remotely. If any petitioner would prefer to have their petition heard with more members present, they may ask staff to have their item tabled to a future meeting when more members might be present. Before we get to the rezonings, we do have a few in-house things we need to take care of for, since this got tabled from last month with the no heat situation. We have to do election of officers and appointments for committee members. So with that, I'll turn that over to Brandy.
Okay, so election of officers, there is a vacancy in the president and vice president. So are there any nominations for president of the Area Planning Commission?
I nominate Adam Devon for president.
Is there a second on that nomination?
I'll second.
Okay, and are there any other nominations for president? Hearing none, are there nominations for vice president?
I'll nominate Bob Holly for vice president.
Not here to defend himself. Is there a second on that nomination?
I'll second.
Any other nominations for vice president? Okay, nominations are closed. All in favor, or well, no, we have to do roll call vote because Molly's on Zoom. So can you do the roll call vote on the election of Adam Devon as president and Bob Hawley as vice president for the Area Planning Commission, please, Shelley?
Sure. Mr. Devon,
Yes.
Mr. Hawley, excuse me, Mr. Kaczynski,
Yes.
Ms. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. England,
Yes.
Mr. Matzett,
Yes.
and Mr. Tavernier.
Yes.
Okay, you get the mic back.
Thank you, Brandy. Also, we do have a new member on our board. I'd like to welcome Eugene Matzett. Thank you for welcome and joining our commission. You are from the county agriculture seat, correct? Yeah. So, welcome aboard. We will now go to the appointment of the plat committee members. Currently, we have members being appointed is Sky Metters, the county engineer. As the chairman, Randy James from the building department. As the vice chair, Robert Kaczynski from the surveyors, Ron Messler from Clay Fire Territory, and Mark Espich from the health department. As the members, alternates, as Hannah Parkhill, Zach Lute, John Law, and Brett Davis. As presented, do we have a motion for, or do we don't have to have?
Yeah, you would need to have a motion to appoint the people and vote on it.
So do we have a motion for the plat committee members as presented?
I make a motion to appoint to 5 members as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the plat committee members. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Devon,
Yes.
Mr. England,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Ms. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Kozinski,
Yes?
Dr. Thacker just joined us on Zoom, and Mr. Tavernier.
Yes.
Okay, plat committee approved. Next, we have the appointment of the, what do we have, executive committee, which is comprised of the president, vice president, and 1 additional member from the commission. Currently, previous year was Dr. Thacker was the 3rd committee member. Dr. Thacker, I guess, do we have a nomination? I would like to nominate Dr. Thacker as the executive committee chair. Unless there's any opposition.
I'll second that.
Any last comments? Otherwise, we have a roll call vote, please, for the executive committee.
Mr. Devon,
Yes.
Mr. England,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Ms. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Kozinski,
Yes?
Dr. Thacker,
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier.
Yes.
And lastly, we have the Area Board of Zoning Appeals members. Currently, we have the Bob Hawley is the county representative. Myself would be the county alternate representative, and DJ Tavernier being the town representative. The Area Plan Commission has 2 of their current members that sit on the Area Board of Zoning Appeals. Do we have a motion for approval?
I'll make
Or
a-
other nominations, I guess.
I'll make a motion to appoint the ABZ members as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second, I think a third, for approving the Area Board of Zoning Appeals members. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Devon,
Yes.
Mr. England,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Ms. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Kozinski,
Yes?
Dr. Thacker,
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier.
Yes.
Thank you. And that concludes our election of officers and appointments. We will now start a public hearing process. With that, can we have the reading for petition number 1 on the rezonings, please?
A proposed ordinance of United Steelworkers of America, District 7, Local 12273, to zone from C Commercial District, Site Plan Specific, to C Commercial District, property located at 56355 Ash Road, St. Joe County, APC application number 3027-23.
This is Sean Klein, Area Plan Commission staff. Shelley, if you could click on the PowerPoint quick. There we go. So this is a petition for the site outlined there on the west side of Ash, north side of Lehman. The property owner would like to rezone it to remove the final site plan that currently restricts use of the property to a union hall and associated parking. There's a church in the area which is interested in purchasing the northern portion of this property to build their new building. So by removing the site plan, they would allow for the subdivision and the future church use on the property. Looking to the north, there are properties zoned B business. Immediately to the north, that parcel used to contain a church. Now it contains an accessory structure that's associated with the marina use on the river. To the east into Elkhart County is a former drag strip. commercial building, and it looks like there's currently a single-family home there. It's zoned PUD, planned unit development. To the south, across Lehman Street, are single-family homes zoned R single-family, and there's also a business there on the corner of Lehman and Ash that is zoned B business. And to the west, immediately to the west, there's actually an unimproved street right-of-way, and then on the other side of that, there are homes zoned R single-family district, and then further to the west, there is a church, also zoned R single-family district. This is what the property currently looks like. The final site plan that is on file, that's associated with the former rezoning, restricts it to this exact size building and parking area. It also restricts the use to that of a union hall. That's looking north along Ash, looking to the south, and across the street into Elkhart County. And that wooded portion there is where the church would propose to develop. And that's another view of it. Looking at the site plan that's submitted, the church building would be set back over 80 feet from Ash Road. It's proposing to access Ash. The site plan shows a parking area with 82 parking spaces. Ultimately, they'll have to provide 4 spaces for every 1,000 feet of building area. Additionally, type 1 landscaping will be required along the west, east, and south property lines, and parking area, foundation, and parking screening landscaping will also be required. Some of the existing trees could likely be retained to satisfy some of that type 1 landscaping. The site would be served by private septic. Per the county health department, the site must connect to municipal water as it's within an administrative control area. The county engineer states that development would need to meet the county drainage standards and that an acceleration, deceleration lane and passing blister would be required on Ash Road. And that's something that would get worked out during the subdivision phase. Turning to the state law criteria, by removing this final site plan, which allows more of the site to be developed, it would advance Goal 2, Objective C of the current comp plan, which directs the county to develop quality business areas to meet the retail and service needs of the planning area. Looking at the current land use plan, there are no specific uses contemplated in this area. In terms of current condition and character, based on the final site plan, only really about half of this site can currently be developed, and the rest is consequently undeveloped at this point in time. Staff finds that the most desirable use would be allowing further commercial development on this already commercially zoned property. In terms of conservation of property values, the most immediate proposal, which is to build a church on the property, would be no more detrimental to neighboring residences, as this is a use that's permitted by right in the R single-family district. And if there are actual commercial uses on the property in the future, we feel that the 40-foot minimum setback from the west property line, as well as required landscaping, would be sufficient to protect the value of those residential uses. Finally, we find that it is responsible development and growth to allow a broader range of commercial uses on this property that's long been identified as appropriate for commercial use, both through historically being classified as B business and then more recently being rezoned to C commercial district, subject to final site plans. As such, we recommend that this be sent to the county council with a favorable recommendation, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions? And just to clarify, for history purposes, it was always required to have a site plan when you rezoned it. I can't remember how long ago we eliminated that. So now even though it's a rezoning to the same rezoning, we're eliminating the site plan requirement. So it's not purpose, and that's the big thing of it, so. If there's no other questions, can we have the presentation by the presenter, please?
Thank you. I'm Jack Rory, pastor of the Sanctuary Church on Lehman Street, which is just to the west down Lehman Street. And so we're at capacity, well over capacity, I guess, on parking. And our building is a small church, about maybe 2,400 square feet on one level. And so we have no more room for classes or that type of thing to grow. So we really need the property, and the Union Hall's been very kind to offer it to us to build on. So that's what we're hoping to do.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and open this public. Is there anybody present wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Please come forward and state your name and address.
Good afternoon, Donnie Ritzma, location 12011 South Laurie Lane Court, Mishawaka, Indiana 46545. Just wanted to come up here on public record to express in favor of this request. I am also a member of the church. Pastor Jack Rory obviously is my pastor. So just wanted to express my support, and this would just be a good opportunity for us as a church body to be able to have more room to be able to grow, in our congregational size. And then just for the area in itself that just provides more aesthetics and character appeal to the area. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else present wishing to speak in favor? Please come forward and state your name and address.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill Zimmerman, address 54590 Colonial Ridge Drive, Bristol, Indiana. I am also a member of the church, and as Pastor said and Donnie said, the church is basically the building that we're located in right now. It's basically at capacity as far as attendance. The parking lot, there is not a lot of room for additional parking in the existing parking lot, and it would have to encroach on the little bit of land that we do have. As the church continues to grow, which it has since I've been a member of the church, attendance basically has pretty much doubled in the past year or so that I've been attendance at the church there. And as Pastor Rory indicated, the Union Hall has been very receptive to wanting to sell the property to us, so allowing the church to grow. And we're asking that this be okayed so the church can grow in the future and service the Osceola, Mishawaka, South Bend, Elkhart community, and also Jimtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anybody wishing to speak in favor online? Please use the raise hand feature. Seeing none. Is there anybody present wishing to speak against this petition? Please come forward and state your name and address.
Not really against, but just a general question. Terry Lang from the Whiteman office. Our address is 1402 Mishawaka Avenue. The property immediately to the north of this is the marina, and there's also a restaurant and bar going in there. I think they currently have a liquor license submitted to the state. I don't know if there's a separation requirement between school and churches, between where liquor establishments are, but I just thought I would bring that to your attention. Thank you.
Is there anybody else wishing to speak against this petition? Please come forward. Seeing none. Is there anybody online wishing to speak against this petition? Please use the raise hand feature. Seeing none, I will now close this. I don't know if that's something we need to be first on or not.
From my perspective, this Abby Wiles, APC director, I don't think it is something that prohibits you from voting today and sending it to the county council, and something that we can research. I don't know without looking at the statute.
I guess, do we want to have the petitioner rebut or question? If you want a chance to remark on that, I don't know if you have a comment, Jack?
Pardon me, I didn't hear what you said.
I didn't know if you were aware of what he was asking about. If
Yeah,
there's
we knew a
any-
restaurant was going in, and, yeah, so we're fine.
Okay.
You're fine with it, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any comments, questions? Otherwise, do we have a motion?
Do we need to, subject to,
I don't think that's our jurisdiction to really.
not ours?
I think it's
Randy?
something that'll be.
Yeah, I would say I don't think that it's necessarily anything you guys have to say anything about. They're asking for permission to remove a site plan.
We're making a recommendation to the council, so.
Yes.
One way or another, so
Okay.
they can investigate that if that's something at the council level.
Robert Krasinski, I'll make a motion to send APC 3027-23 to the county council with a favorable recommendation.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to send APC 3027-23 to the county council with a favorable recommendation. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. England?
Yes.
Mr. Matsett?
Yes.
Ms. Hannon?
You're muted. We didn't hear what your answer was.
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Thacker?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes?
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes.
Mr. Devon?
Yes. Motion passes. Reading for item number 2, please.
A public hearing on a proposed ordinance of Elijah and Christina Slaybach and Erickson Real Estate Holdings LLC to zone from B Business District and C Commercial District to R Single Family District, and seeking the following variances. Number 1, from section 154.070 sub C2D1A to allow a 5-foot tall fence with an open space less than or equal to 70% in the front yard south, where a maximum height of 36 inches is permitted. Variance number 2, from section 154.107 sub B to allow a lot width of 93 feet where a minimum of 100 feet is required. Property located at 11793 Jefferson Road and portion of 11771 Jefferson Road, St. Joe County, APC application number 3028-23.
I think we need one more variance read.
And variance number 3, from section 154.107, sub C, to allow for a 4-foot side yard east setback where 8 foot is required for an existing garage.
So, board members, the agenda that Carl handed to you is the most updated version. Okay. Faryal Sharif, Area Plan Commission staff. The next 3 petitions you will hear today, including this one, are for properties near the intersection of Jefferson Road and Buckeye Road. We're doing these as 3 petitions because of separate property ownership on each of the lots. Each of these petitions comes with a number of variances, but the site plan is going to look the same for each petition, but they're concerning different lots. The first of these petitions is the most straightforward. I'll just go over that right now. We are looking at the westernmost lot that is mostly Zone B Business District. On-site is a single-family home. It appears the property has been used for a single-family home since the 1920s. The surrounding area is also residential, as you can see from the zoning map. This is the east line of the property abutting the auto repair shop, which will be discussed on the next petition. You can see from this picture that there is a structure, a detached garage in the middle. It's currently on the property line. Subsequent minor subdivision will be needed to adjust this east lot line and put that garage on this lot with the house. Here is looking east down Jefferson and west. Looking at the site plan, for this petition, we're focused on the 0.57 acre parcel labeled Lot 1. You can see where the single-family home is labeled along with the existing garage and where the lot line will be adjusted. An existing fence is also labeled on site. That would be the white fence from the pictures. Going to our 5 state law criteria, the area is mostly residential in nature with the exception of the auto repair shop. Our single-family zoning matches the actual use on the lot. The business and commercial zoning that it's currently under is not utilized by the property owners. This rezoning will make the single-family home legal and ensure that any future use on the property is residential in nature, matching current conditions and character and preserving property values. It's in line with the goals of the comprehensive plan and promotes responsible growth and development. Staff's recommendation is that this be sent to the county council with a favorable recommendation. And then there are 3 variances associated with the petition. So on this slide is the state law criteria for the variances. The first is for the white fence in the front yard. That's the same fence from the site plan. Our ordinance allows 3-foot tall solid fences in the front yard by right. That fence is 5 foot tall. The second variance is for lot width. They're asking for a lot width of 93 feet where 100 is required. And finally, the third is needed because of the lot line adjustment on the east lot line for the existing garage. They're asking for a 4-foot setback for the garage. Staff is recommending approval of all these variances. For the fence, it is set back pretty far from Jefferson Road to be in line with the home and doesn't interfere with the clear site area. Thus, it's not injurious, nor will it affect the area adjacent in an adverse manner. The fence runs along the front and side lot lines. Forcing them to reduce that fence height would require them to create a new fence that's not in line with the same type of fence on the side lot lines, which provides screening from the repair shop. Approval of the variance will bring the fence into compliance. We did receive 1 favorable letter, which was technically referencing the rezonings that are on the next 2 items on the agenda. But I mention it now because the property owner who wrote the favorable letter did also mention that they're okay with the fence at 11793, which is this address. They stated they felt the fence would be positive for the family at the residence. For lot width, a lot width of 93 feet is actually pretty consistent with other residential lots nearby. The business district allows for smaller lot widths, so it's the rezoning to our single family that is necessitating this variance. Staff finds it wouldn't be injurious. Denial would not allow them to rezone or do the subsequent subdivision. And finally, for the side setback. So basically, our ordinance does have a provision that states that when a lot is rezoned, an existing structure or building of this sort would be exempt from seeking variances because a change in zoning district makes structures along existing lot lines legal nonconforming. However, since the lot line is being adjusted, a variance is necessary to legalize the location. They couldn't move it, the lot line anymore because of how narrow the parcel is, and denying the variance would not allow the petitioner to rezone and do those adjustments. So thus, we're recommending approval of all these variances by this board and a favorable recommendation on the rezoning. For this lot 1, for now, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Fario. Any questions? Seeing none. Terry, go ahead. You have a petitioner, please.
Terry Lang from the Whiteman office. Our address is 1402 Mishawaka Avenue here in South Bend to represent the petitioners. This has all been in the same family for almost 100 years. They owned 40 acres all the way around it. property to the north was platted off after the zoning ordinance went into effect, called the Erickson subdivision. All of the lots along Jefferson are the same width, they're 93 feet. They were all done as a proposed plat, and later then, when they were deeded off, they were done by meets and bounds legal descriptions. So they are legal parcels in that fashion. So all of this had been in the family for quite some time. The house, from my recollection, looking down the records, was built in about 1928. I believe it was probably where Mr. Erickson, who owned all the area, probably lived. Later, he constructed the auto repair shop next door in 1929, and sometime in between, the garage was built right over the property line between the two parcels. So what we are proposing to do is to gerrymander the property line around the existing garage right there. The garage will retain with the ownership for the single-family home on the west side right there that you see in the picture. Such, in creating this gerrymandered line down through there, we're dealing with a zoning issue, we're dealing with setback issues, all of this fencing that's located on site. So that list of variances that the staff had read through are all existing conditions are there, except for the new line that we're creating to make the property line not go through the middle of that garage. And that's the reason for the petition before you.
Thank you, Terry. Any other questions?
With the gerrymandering of that property line, is there any compensation given to the owner to the east?
Well, it's all family.
Okay.
So it's gerrymandering it around in that fashion to go through there. It's all part of that Erickson family. So it's passed down a couple generations now, and you'll find as the next petition, when we get to the garage portion of it, I can explain a little bit more with regards to that then.
Thanks.
Okay, no other questions? I'll now open this to the public. Thank you, Terry. Is there anybody present wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Please come forward and state your name and address. Seeing none. Is there anybody online wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Please use the raise hand feature. Seeing none. Is there anybody present wishing to speak against this petition? Please come forward and state your name and address. Again, seeing none. Anybody online wishing to speak against this petition, please use the raise hand feature. Again, seeing none, I will now close this to the public. Seeing there was no against it, is there any last comments or questions? Or do we have the rezoning and we have variances we have to approve separately? The rezoning first, or the variances first?
Rezoning can be first.
Okay. So do we have a motion for the rezoning?
Robert Krasinski, I'll make a motion to send APC 3028-23 to the council with a favorable recommendation.
For the rezoning.
For the rezoning, I'm sorry.
We have a second.
Tom England, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to send APC 3028-23 for the rezoning to the county council with a favorable recommendation. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Mattson?
Yes.
Ms. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes.
Dr. Thacker?
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski?
Yes.
Mr. England?
Yes.
Mr. Devon?
Yes. Motion carries. We also have three rezonings we have to approve.
3 variances.
Did I say 3 zonings? 3 variances?
You gonna make it today?
3 variances we have to approve. Is there any comments, questions, or we can approve all 3 of them at the same time if we wish?
All right, DJ Tavernier, I'll make a motion that we approve all 3 variances on APC 3028-23.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to second to approve the variances for APC 3028-23. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. England?
Yes.
Mr. Mattson?
Yes.
Ms. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes.
Dr. Thacker?
Yes.
Mr. Devon?
Yes. Reading petition, petition number 3, please.
A combined public hearing on a proposed ordinance of Erickson Real Estate Holdings, LLC, care of Virginia Erickson, to rezone from C Commercial District Site Plan Specific to C Commercial District and seeking the following variances. Number 1, from Section 154.332 Sub A to not provide front yard landscaping in the front yard south and east, where front yard landscaping is required in any business commercial district. Variance 2 from Section 154.332 Sub B to not provide Type 2 landscaping along a side west lot line abutting a residential district. Variance 3 from Section 154.182 Sub C2 to allow for a 4-foot side interior yard west setback where 5 foot is required for an accessory building. Variance 4 from Section 154.182 Sub C2B to allow for a 1-foot side yard east setback where 40 foot is required to allow for a parking lot. Variance 5 from Section 154.182 Sub C4 to allow for a 5-foot rear yard north setback where 20 feet is required to allow for a parking lot. Variance 6 from Section 154.421 Sub D to allow for 0 bicycle parking spaces where 2 spaces are required. And variance number 7 from Section 154.070 Sub C2B to allow for no screening on a trash container exceeding 36 cubic feet where a solid-walled trash enclosure is required on at least 3 sides. Property located at portion of 11771 Jefferson Road, St. Joe County, APC application 3029-23.
Farial Sharif, Area Plan Commission staff. This is the second of 3 petitions off Jefferson and Buckeye. This time we're looking at the lot right at the corner. I will note at this point that if the rezoning is successful, the plan is to combine this lot with the one directly rear of it through the subdivision process. Currently, the lot is Zone C commercial, subject to a final site plan. This rezoning would remove that final site plan. Here is the auto repair shop. There have been a number of conformance issues on the property, but staff has been working with the property owners on resolving those issues and bringing this property into conformance. As you might tell, that's kind of been the goal for all these petitions today. Some of the issues raised in the past included cars habitually parked along Jefferson Road, as shown in this picture. The complaint there is that those cars block the stop sign and visibility for oncoming traffic. Another issue is that cars parked on this side along Buckeye are technically in the county right-of-way. The property line ends only about 7 feet from where the building is now, so it's quite a narrow lot. This is directly to the rear of that primary building. It's a gravel parking lot. Here is that lot from another angle. So to give some bearings, the structure all the way to the left in this picture is actually the detached garage for the single-family home from the last petition. And then the shed building next to it is used by the auto repair shop. In this picture, the dumpster is facing Buckeye Road. And here is one more picture for the rear. There is a drive accessible from the rear lot that gets you onto the gravel lot right now. This is the final site plan that the property is currently tied to, approved in 1977. As mentioned before, the Ericksons operated a repair shop on this site as early as 1929, according to our records, which was before much of the residential development in this area. The residential subdivision to the east across Buckeye Road was largely developed in the 80s. So this 1977 final site plan was done when a building addition was made to the current repair shop. I believe the dimensions on here are the same as the current building, so no significant changes have occurred since this was approved. And on our current site plan, we're looking at Lot 2 for this petition. All existing structures are labeled, including the gravel lot. There is also a new proposed location for the dumpster and a proposal to pave the parking lot. As mentioned before, if the rezone is successful, a subsequent minor subdivision will be needed to adjust that interior lot line. Going on to state law criteria for the rezoning, although the current area conditions are predominantly residential, this auto repair shop has been present in its current use since at least 1977 and predates some of the residential development. The most desirable use of the property is to bring the current use into compliance. This would help to address previous issues on the lot and allow support of improvements that would potentially improve and conserve the value of the existing area. These improvements also support responsible growth and development. The rezoning is not in conflict with the land use goals of the comprehensive plan. As I mentioned, we did receive one favorable letter from a nearby property owner who stated they felt the changes would make the corner more appealing and enhance the neighborhood. Staff's recommendation is that this be sent to the county council with a favorable recommendation. There are 7 variances associated with this petition. Again, I will go over the state law criteria for each of the requested sets of variances. The first 2 is for relief from landscaping standards. The ordinance would require landscaping along the west lot line because that lot is being rezoned to our single-family residential, and also along the front lot line. Our standards would ask for trees to be planted in both of these cases to provide screening. Staff is recommending approval. Variance number 3 is similar to the variance you saw on the last petition. It's for the accessory shed structure used by the auto repair shop and is needed because of the lot line adjustment. Approval will not be injurious for these requests. Other improvements proposed would enhance the welfare of the community. The use and value will not be affected in an adverse manner. A fence already runs across much of the western property line, and it's actually the eastern property line that was more of a concern for residents. The front part of the lot is mostly pavement, and the narrow lot width in particular makes it difficult to reasonably fit additional trees that would meet the minimum landscaping standards and still adjust lot lines. For variance 3, similar reasoning to before, since the lot line is being moved, a variance is necessary. They couldn't move the lot lines anymore and still accommodate improvements because of how narrow the parcel is. So staff is recommending approval of variances 1, 2, and 3. The next 3 variances are for parking. Number 4 is relief from our standard that requires bicycle parking. Is that in the right order? So yeah, those are kind of off. I think they're supposed to be, yes, I think 4 and 6 should be switched. All right, it's fine. And then the other ones are to legalize the location of the parking lot to the rear of the building and allow improvements. So we're recommending approval of these as well. Approval of the variances will not be injurious as they will effectively legalize the location of the existing lot and allow for relief from a standard that requires bike parking. The use and value will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Previously, cars were seen parked along Buckeye Road in the county right-of-way and along Jefferson Road, blocking the line of sight for drivers. An improved parking lot, as proposed, would allow for cars to no longer be parked there, which may actually improve the use and value of the area adjacent. The strict application would result in practical difficulties, as the small lot width would force them to tear up the existing lot to accommodate setbacks and would make it difficult to meet minimum parking requirements. Bike parking has not been on the property previously, is not necessarily needed due to the nature of the business. Staff is thus recommending approval of these 3 sets of variances. We're actually asking the board to add an additional condition to the approval of these variances, if approved, that the parking of vehicles in the county right-of-way and along Jefferson Road is prohibited. And finally, there is just one more variance request for dumpster screening. That is variance 7. Our ordinance asks to provide an enclosure for dumpsters when those dumpsters exceed 36 cubic feet. We are recommending denial of this one, variance number 7. Approval of the variance could be injurious. As you may have seen in the previous picture, the dumpster was located closer to Buckeye Road in a highly visible location, which was a concern for residents in the past. Even though they are proposing to move it to a new location, it may still be visible at that spot. The use and value may be affected in an adverse manner. An enclosure would ensure it's not visible for residents and that the dumpster stays in that proposed location farther from the road. Finally, strict application would not result in practical difficulties. Although staff does acknowledge that this is a small lot, an enclosure that meets the minimum standard of 6 feet in height could still be put up without taking up a large amount of space, nor require them to tear up anything on the lot. The staff recommends denial of that variance. And just to review, we are recommending a favorable recommendation of the rezoning, approval of all the variances with some conditions on the parking variances, except for variance number 7 for the dumpster screening. We are recommending denial. I can now take any questions.
Thank you, Fario. Any questions?
Just one question. Just looking at the old site plan, and you're going to address the parking, I see that, which is excellent. But looking at that old site plan from 77, I guess, it looked like there was supposed to be some temporary curbing on both sides, and that was probably never done.
I'm not sure if it was done.
Just looking at the pictures, you know, I didn't see that, but I don't know if that, you're going to require them to put the curbing back. Is it necessary or not?
I mean, it'll go through the subdivision, and then at that point, it may have to be addressed. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Questions? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Abby.
great point, Bobby K. So Terry, you're not going for, the petitioners are not going for any relief from the surface, right? They're going to do paved surface?
We're not looking for any, when we do our plat, Terry Lang from the Whiteman office, address is 1402 Mishawaka Avenue here in South Bend. When we do our plat, we'll be dedicating what is necessary for the 40-foot right-of-way along Jefferson as well as on Buckeye, which leaves no space for any of that parking, and that parking requirement then will be coming to the rear when we get to the third rezoning petition that you're about to hear. So, yeah, there'll be requirement for no parking along both of those streets. Whether there was ever curb put in, Bobby, I have never in my life, and I live out in the East End out there, and never seen curb there, so.
But Terry, you're going to be doing hard surface parking at the rear,
Yes.
correct? So, okay, that'll trigger commercial plan review, Bobby K. And then Sky will have a stab at whatever he requires.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
Yep.
I mean, if the county wants to improve the intersection and put curbs in, more power to them, but at this point,
You're talking to the wrong board.
yep.
Thank you. All right, I will now, is there any other questions?
Well, so why is there an issue with the screening for the dumpster? I mean, why are you asking for a petition or a variance for no screening for the dumpster?
Well, the
I guess I
petition
don't
was
understand.
we're trying to, with all of the improvements they're going to be forced to do with the expansion of the parking lot and things like that, the accessibility to the dumpster is a whole lot easier if it's not confined to a concrete block area. And I don't think that's going to be something that, if the board thinks that we have to have that, it is a requirement, and it will be put in if it has to be. But we're just trying to, with all the improvements, they're losing all their parking, forced to put in a new parking lot, drainage. We're just trying to help them, be able to go through this process and keep their cost somewhat reasonable.
Will you go back to the hand-drawn plan?
Oh.
So where is the dumpster gonna sit on this? Do we know?
So this is
That's the 77. This is mine right there, and I'm not proposing a specific, other than it'll probably be located right behind the building so that it doesn't have to be carried back to the back area back there.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm glad the staff also seen the idea of not having bicycle rack when there aren't sidewalks along either of the roads.
Are you
In this
brave enough
case,
to ride a bike down Jefferson?
I wouldn't. Same thing with Buckeye.
Okay. If there are any other questions, I will open this to the public. Is there
I don't
anybody-
think Terry technically had his opportunity to present the petition yet.
Oh.
Abby just kind of started asking him questions.
Thanks. Jeez.
With the explanation that went on with the petition before this one and the questions that were asked, I have nothing additional. The staff has worked with us at great length on making sure we meet all the guidelines, going through the planning process, all of the setbacks, and all of the things we're asking for are for, existing structures that are there. By platting, we're gonna lose our parking, we understand that. This is one of the ugliest sites that I've worked on in a long time with, trying to make it fit with the buildings and everything that's there, and they've been there for almost 100 years. So,
I guess just curious, what was the trigger on going through this, on trying to get it up to?
they have a contingent purchaser for the garage, and with that detached garage sitting across the property line, that is what has triggered all of this. And then when they dug into it a little further, we found that the house next door was zoned for business use and it's a residential use. So if they ever had to go or sell the house to a lender, that would be an issue, having it not appropriately zoned as a residence. And the same thing with, now that we're having to move parking to the north, we've got to rezone the parcel to the north. So it was just a series of dominoes. You couldn't have asked for a perfect storm on a site that this has occurred.
Okay, nothing else to add then, Terry?
That's everything I have.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and open this to the public again. Is there anyone present wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Please come forward and state your name and address. Seeing none. Is there anybody online wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Please, oh, sorry, we have one.
Janae Ford, 1423 St. Thomas Street, Benton Harbor, Michigan. And I am the representative for Erickson Real Estate Holdings. I'm the executor of my mother's will, and then we're trying to just clean up all of the property lines and just clean it up so the proposed buyer can come through this and get everything taken care of.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none. Is there anybody online wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Please use the raise hand feature. Seeing none. Is there anybody present wishing to speak against this petition? Please come forward and state your name and address. Seeing none. Anybody online wishing to speak against this petition? Please use the raise hand feature. Again, seeing none, I will now close this to the public. And is there any questions, comments? Looks like we have a rezoning and 7 variances. 1 is recommended for denial by staff. Any questions, comments?
Rezoning first.
Yeah.
Rezoning first, yes.
I'll make a motion to send to rezone APC 3029-23 with a favorable recommendation. To the council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the rezoning for APC 3029-23 with a favorable recommendation to the St. Joseph County Council. Roll call vote, please.
And I apologize, who seconded that?
I did.
DJ.
Sorry.
Thank you.
DJ.
Mr. England?
Yes.
Mr. Mattson?
Yes.
Ms. Hannon?
Yes.
Dr. Thacker?
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes.
Mr. Devon?
Yes. Motion carries, and we have 7 variances to vote on, since we have a request for denial from staff.
So my recommendation would be to vote on these in the group that they were grouped in by the staff, since the staff was asking for a condition on one set of them.
Yep.
And then the final one, they were requesting that you deny it. So yeah, my recommendation would be voting on them in 1 to 3, 4 to 6, and then 7.
The variances 1 to 3 on the, is that the setbacks?
So it's no landscape, no landscape.
Landscaping, yes.
All right, so this is DJ Tavernier. I'll make a motion that we approve variances 1, 2, and 3 for APC 3029-23.
Robert Krasinski, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve variances 1 through 3 for APC 3029-23 to the St. Joseph County, or no, we just approve those, don't we? We
This is
don't.
just approval,
We
yes.
we just make approval, so. We have a motion for approval of variances 1 through 3. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. England?
Yes.
Mr. Mattson?
Yes.
Ms. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes.
Dr. Thacker?
Yes.
Mr. Devon?
Yes. Now variances 4 through 6 for the parking.
All right, so this is DJ Tavernier. I'll make a motion that we approve variances 4, 5, and 6 on the condition that the parking of vehicles in the right-of-way of Jefferson is prohibited.
Jefferson
Did she say Buckeye?
It was both.
I thought it was just
Correct?
Jefferson.
The staff report says both.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, so with the condition of parking of the vehicles in Jefferson and Buckeye both be prohibited.
Yeah, sorry.
And with the understanding that the property is probably getting sold, my recommendation would be that it would be not just a condition, but that it be a written commitment.
All right, so let me rephrase all this. So, this is DJ Tavernier. I'll make a motion that we approve variances 4, 5, and 6 with the written commitment that parking of vehicles in the right-of-way of Jefferson and Buckeye be prohibited.
Excellent, I like that
I'm
motion.
here for you.
Yes, thank you.
Robert Krasinski, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve variances 4 through 6 with a written commitment to deny parking in the right-of-way along the 2 streets for APC 3029-23.
Dr. Thacker?
Yes.
Ms. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. England?
Yes.
Mr. Mattson?
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes.
Mr. Devon?
Yes. And then variance number 7 for the trash container screening. We have a motion.
Robert Krasinski, I'll make a motion to deny the 7th request on the trash container dumpster screening.
I'll second that motion.
We have a first and a second. Mr. England?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
No.
Dr. Thacker? I'm sorry, Dr. Thacker, we didn't hear you.
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski?
Yes.
Mr. Mattson?
Yes.
Ms. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Devon?
Yes. Motion carries. All right, petition number 4, please.
A combined public hearing on a proposed ordinance of Erickson, Virginia, revocable trust with Gene Ford as trustee, to zone from B Business District to C Commercial District, and seeking the following variances. From Section 154.332 Sub B to not provide Type 2 landscaping along the rear, west, and side north lot lines abutting a residential district. Variance 2 from Section 154.182 Sub C 4 to allow for a 5-foot rear yard west setback where 20 feet is required to allow for parking lot. Variance 3 from Section 154.182 Sub C 3 to allow for an 18-foot side yard north setback where 20 feet is required to allow for a parking lot abutting a residential district. And variance number 4 from Section 154.421 Sub D to allow for 0 bicycle parking spaces where 2 spaces are required, unaddressed parcel located directly north and abutting 11771 Jefferson Road, St. Joseph County, APC application number 3030-23.
All right, Farial Sharif, Area Plan Commission staff. We are now looking at the rear lot off Buckeye Road. This lot was not included in the final site plan you saw on the previous petition. It's zoned business, and this is a rezone to commercial. As mentioned in the previous petition, the petitioner intends to eventually combine this lot with the front one, so that would make the zoning consistent. So this is really just a vacant lot right now. The property owners have been using it to park cars associated with the business. It's not paved now or anything, but there is a drive going onto it. Just another angle, similar picture to that you saw in the last petition. This is the north property line. The property to the north is a residential home zoned R single family. I did mention on the last 2 petitions, the one favorable letter we received, it was sent from the property owner who lives here. One thing she mentioned was that she doesn't want to lose access to her pole barn from the drive. She had an agreement previously to maintain that access. On the site plan, we are looking at proposed lot 3. The plan shows a new parking lot and retention basin. The drive going onto the lot would also be improved. Basically, the petitioner plans to improve this lot to support the existing auto repair shop. Going on to our state law criteria for the rezoning, although the current area conditions are predominantly residential, the auto repair shop predates some of the residential development. This lot has been vacant and was never developed in line with the surrounding area. It has been used as parking to support the auto repair shop for some time now. Previous issues on this property were that many cars were parked haphazardly on the lot, kind of just like stuffed in, and there have not really been improvements to mitigate that issue. The most desirable use of the property is to bring the current use into compliance in a way that alleviates previous issues and supports the existing business. This may improve and conserve the value of the existing area. This also supports reasonable growth and development. The rezoning is not in conflict with the goals of the comprehensive plan. Again, staff's recommendation is that this be sent favorably. And then there are 3 variances associated with the petition. First one is a relief from a landscaping standard that requires trees to be parked along a lot line abutting a residential district. The ordinance would require landscaping along the west lot line containing the single-family home from the first petition and the north lot line where that other single-family home is. Staff is recommending approval of this variance. Approval will not be injurious for this request. Other improvements proposed would enhance the welfare of the community. The use and value will not be affected in an adverse manner. The main area of concern in the past was actually too many cars parked on this lot, which would be mitigated by the improvements. And finally, for practical difficulty, it's the rezoning to C commercial that's actually triggering these requirements, and the rezoning is needed to bring the lot into compliance. And in addition, as noted previously, the narrow lot width creates a unique practical difficulty in planting additional trees to meet the minimum standard after proposed improvements. So staff is recommending approval of variance 1. Next 3 are for parking. They are very similar to the variances from the previous petition. It would legalize where the proposed parking lot would go, and also relief from that bicycle parking standard is needed again. Staff's reasoning is similar. We're recommending approval. Approval will not be injurious, and the use and value will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. As noted in the last petition, cars were seen parked along Buckeye Road in the county right-of-way and along Jefferson Road, and cars were kind of jammed onto this lot in the past. A new parking lot with painted lines and curbs and improved drive would help alleviate these issues and may actually improve the use and value of the area adjacent. The strict application would result in practical difficulties, as a smaller parking lot would make it difficult to meet minimum parking requirements and also make other necessary improvements like the retention pond difficult. I won't go over the bicycle parking again. To summarize, we're recommending the rezoning be sent with a favorable recommendation and approval of the 3 variances. I can take 4 variances. I can answer any questions from the board.
Thank you. Questions?
So you don't have any written commitment for parking on Buckeye? Because it looks, oh,
So-
I'm sorry, that's a retention basin.
Yeah, in the past, the issue actually wasn't that cars were parked in the back there. They were parked in the front where lot 1 or lot 2 is labeled, and blocking the way there. The issue with lot 3 was actually that cars were just parked there in general. Cars are not allowed to be parked on a business zoned lot like that. And they were just really parked haphazardly. So we hadn't seen cars parked on that side before on this particular lot, if that's something you wish to add, but it hasn't been an issue that we've seen.
Okay. Terry?
Terry Lang from the Whiteman office. Address is 1402 Mishawaka Avenue here in South Bend. Represent the petitioners. This is the last piece of the puzzle right here. With losing all of the parking along Jefferson and Buckeye necessitates the need for parking to be located to the north of this. As the staff had indicated, it was basically a dirt, grassy area where vehicles had been parked, waiting for either service or to be picked up. The variances that we're asking for, with the additional dedication of road right-of-way along Buckeye, it would push our setback requirement for parking and setbacks from all 3 directions, that there wouldn't be enough room to put 2 cars in that parking lot. So the variances for each of the west and north and east sides are the variances that are necessary to be able to provide at least some sort of parking for the garage, for the vehicles that are coming in or finished with service. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Terry, would it make sense to, with the neighbor to the north, with the access, do we need to put like a shared easement on the property there to grant her that access?
What exactly did her letter say? I didn't get
The one part she wrote was, "The only concern that I have with either of these projects is that I do not want to lose the access that I have to drive out to my pole barn, and both parties said that I would have access at the back of their properties before I purchased my home." It was written by Virginia Werner,
Okay.
POA for the
We
property
can
owner.
provide an easement along that north side up there so that she could, and if you looked at the aerial map, you could see the drive
Yeah.
cutting across that area there, so we can provide that easement on the plat portion of it then.
Okay.
Is that something that do we need to add that in there?
If you want to ensure that, you can put it on as a condition that there be an easement agreement entered into with this lady.
Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, I'll open this to the public. Is there anybody present wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Please come forward, state your name and address. Seeing none, is there anyone in favor of this petition online wishing to speak in favor? Please use the raise hand feature. Again, seeing none. Anyone present wishing to speak against this petition, please come forward and state your name and address. Again, seeing none. Anybody online wishing to speak against this petition, please use the raise hand feature. Again, seeing none, I will now close this to the public. We do have, same thing, we have a rezoning to approve first, and then the 4 variances. So let's have the rezoning first, unless there's any last questions or comments.
Robert Krasinski, I'll make a motion to send a rezoning of APC 3030-23 to the county council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion, and a second, to send the rezoning for APC 3030-23 to the county council with a favorable recommendation. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. England?
Yes.
Mr. Mattson?
Yes.
Ms. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes.
Dr. Thacker?
Yes.
Mr. Devon?
Yes. Now we have the 4 variances. We can vote all 4 together if we'd like.
All right, it's DJ Tavernier. I'll make a motion that we approve all 4 variances, but I'm going to keep it consistent with the last petition and put that there's a written commitment that parking be prohibited off of Buckeye, in the right-of-way of Buckeye. That is, in the right-of-way of, oh, no, because if you look, if you look at this, there looks like there's plenty of room if she had to get back there, so.
We have a second.
Robert Krasinski, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 4 variances with adding the same written commitment of no parking along Buckeye. Roll call
Mi-
vote, please.
Mr. England?
Yes.
Mr. Mattson?
Yes.
Ms. Hannon?
Yes.
Dr. Thacker?
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes.
Mr. Devon?
Yes. Motion carries. A couple items not requiring a public hearing. Do we have any miscellaneous? I don't think. No miscellaneous. Then we have 2 minutes we have to approve. October 17th and November 21st. Do we not have December? No Decembers? Are we missing 3?
No meeting in January because it was rescheduled to today, so just December.
Right, but do we have a December minutes?
I think we're still working on
Okay.
processing December minutes.
So we have 2 minutes to approve.
DJ Tavernier, I'll make a motion that we approve October 17th, 2023, and November 21st, 2023 minutes.
Tom England, second.
We have a motion, and a second, to approve the minutes from October 17th and November 21st, 2023. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Mattson?
I wasn't here.
You're still allowed to vote.
Okay. Yes.
Ms. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes.
Dr. Thacker?
Yes.
Mr. England?
Yes.
Mr. Devon?
Yes. Executive Director's report. Abby.
All right. Just to start off and echo what Adam said earlier in the meeting, I'm so thankful to welcome Jean Mattson to the Area Plan Commission and letting Molly and Dr. Thacker know. Jean is the former A&R educator for LaPorte County, lives in St. Joe County, and is willing to step into the role for us. So thank you.
Thanks
think-
for asking me.
I think you're probably an old hat at this after your last role at LaPorte County. All right, included in the, or in the packet is the status of the petitions that have come through the area plan. I'll, of course, update this for you in the next packet, in the meeting in 2 weeks. I want to provide a brief update on the comprehensive plan. Staff has been working with the consulting team on the revisions to the draft plan. We've completed our review and given all of our edits. They're working on incorporating those. We are also working to familiarize our new council members and commissioners on the materials prior to any public meetings being scheduled. We anticipate being able to release the draft plan, but it's not ready for public review at this time. Please stay tuned for public meeting dates as we work to announce, to get those scheduled and announce those later this year. And just want to thank everyone who has participated in the process so far, and thanks for your patience. In terms of the IEC overlay, staff, the planners and myself have completed a high-level review of the IEC overlay. We've gone through and noted what items need additional discussion, research, and review. And we've outlined a targeted outreach plan that will be somewhat limited but targeted to members of the development community, with the anticipation of bringing that back in full form later this year, likely second half. Code enforcement isn't a function of Area Plan Commission, but there's always an interest in what's going on there because it's a new program, well, relatively new program. We're in the process of conducting some limited outreach for 2024, going to any township meeting where they're interested in having us, and doing some other targeted outreach, specifically like to the Home Builders Association, if you'll have us, and the South End Board of Realtors. That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you, Abby. If there's nothing else, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Robert Krasinski, I make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. England?
Yes.
Mr. Matzik?
Yes.
Ms. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Kozinski?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes.
Dr. Thacker?
Yes.
Mr. Devon?
Yes. Thank you, everybody.